Warren, Bunnies Down Under on the Gauntlet Hangouts. So the basic idea of this game is that you're a bunch of rabbits. And so this particular story is set in Australia, where there are plenty of rabbits as a major invasive species in that continent. So you're going to be facing off with a whole host of Australian dangers. And so the idea of the Warren is it's basically Watership Down the RPG. So it's a fairly naturalistic kind of idea of rabbits. You know, you don't wear clothes or walk on your hind legs or anything like that, though you do have a society and you talk to each other and to other animals. Human stuff is a little bit of a mystery to you. You don't always understand what people are up to. You certainly don't understand what they're talking about in their human languages. And so for the tone of this game, I'm hoping to go a little bit lighter than the infamous Watership Down movie. So, you know, it's not exactly a totally fluffy game. You know, rabbits are prey animals. All kinds of stuff have it out for them. And the game is set up that you can retire your character at any point that you choose. If you decide your character is too beat up to go on, then you can just retire that character and we'll bring in a new character for you to play. Although you're never forced to retire your character. So you could, if you want to just tough it out and deal with loads and loads of scars, which are kind of the harm mechanic here, and try to keep on trucking, you can do that as well. All right, so you should have the link that I sent you to the playbooks. So for those of you that have played PBTA games before, one slight difference here is that everybody's got the same character sheet. So you'll see that that file has a whole bunch of the same character sheet in it. So there's not you know, separate playbooks for separate roles. There's just sort of one Ultra Bunny that you will specialize yourself for. So on the character keeper, you can see spots to fill in just some basic information about yourself, what you look like, and your name and so forth. And you'll see there's some suggestions for those on the character sheet. You're not limited to those. So for example, you'll see a lot of the names are like plant names and stuff. You want to like pick an Australian plant to name yourself after or something like that. That's cool too. But those are just kind of there as suggestions, and those don't have any sort of mechanical effect there. And so down under where it says parts, there's a mechanic in this game for rabbits getting pregnant and having litters. And I would like to, at least for our first session, kind of X that mechanic out. So in between sessions, we roll to see how the population of the Warren has changed. And so if at that point you want to claim any of those new bunnies as your children, you can go ahead and do that. But the pregnancy and birth mechanic is listed as optional, and I would prefer to not play with that one right now. So you can use that slot instead as your pronoun slot, so that we know how to refer to you in the game. So then the first thing you've got there that has an actual mechanical weight to it is your stats. So you've got 4 stats: strong, swift, steady, and shrewd. And you're going to assign a +2, a +1, a 0, and a -1 across those 4 in whatever arrangement. So you get to decide if you want to be a strong bunny, a steady bunny, etc. And those are important because they're linked to the moves. So this is the kind of key thing for those of you that haven't done PBTA before. In general, when you're doing something in the game that matches the trigger for one of these moves, and if you're looking at the character sheet there, you'll see there's a column that lists these basic moves. and they all start when you do blah, blah, blah. So like the resist panic move, when you expose yourself to new dangers. So you're just going to narrate what your character does. And at some point I may say, oh, it sounds like you're triggering this move. Okay, so if you're describing yourself like going out into this open field that you've never crossed before, and there might be like hawks watching or something, I might say, oh, it sounds like you're going to need to resist panic. And so then we'll invoke that move. And when we use a move, the most common way that moves are structured is that you're going to roll 2d6 and then add the relevant stat. So for the resist panic one, you're going to roll 2d6 and add your stat for steady. And then if the result is 10 or more, then you get something good that goes well for you in some way. On a 7 to 9, it's going to be some sort of a mixed success or a tough choice to make or a success with a cost. And if it's a 6 or less, then I, as the GM, get to do something bad to you. I get to make what we call a hard move. I get to inflict some sort of danger on you or make your life complicated or take away something that you had or something like that. So that's the basic structure for how a move works. And so that's the importance of those stats. And the steady stat has one additional element to it, which is that it determines your maximum panic level. So this is because you are a bunny, everything makes you scared because everything can threaten you, everything can kill you, and bunnies survive by being afraid of everything just in case. So you're going to start out with your current panic level is going to be at 0. So you start the game, you're doing all right, you're pretty calm, but when certain things happen, it can increase your panic level. So the most obvious one is if you fail at that resist panic roll, when you're exposed to some sort of danger and you have to try to keep it together. Sometimes I may, if you fail another roll, decide that the appropriate thing is to increase your panic level. There are certain moves where you can actually increase your own panic as sort of a trade-off to get something else that you want to get. And so you'll increment up your panic there when your panic hits your max level. So, say your steady was your +1. So then your max panic would be 5 + 1, so a 6. And so when you hit 6 on the panic, then you're going to basically freak out. And I, as the GM, will describe what you do. So you might freeze, kind of deer in the headlights style at an inopportune moment. You might lash out at and just kind of flail wildly at whatever has got you. You might run for it, just like take off in panic. You'll do something, you'll freak out in some way. But there are certain moves that will allow you to bring that panic down. The most common way is just to be able to take a rest and spend some time in a safe location, and then your panic will come back down. So that's one thing you have to watch out for, is not hitting your max panic there. There's no like hit points or harm tracker, but you can, if you get hurt, you can take what's called a scar. So when you take a scar, you're basically going to take one of your moves and you're going to cross it out, and you can no longer do that move at all. So if you do the thing that would trigger that move, it's as if you had rolled a 6 or less, just sort of automatic failure at that move, and you take the consequences of that failure. And so you might build up those scars, and if you've got too many scars, you feel like your character can't really do much anymore, you can choose to retire your character, so that character will pass on and will set you up with a new character. You might take over an NPC, or a new bunny might enter the scene or something like that, but that's always up to you. So I, as the GM, can't kill you, although I can make your life pretty hard along the way. So is everybody with me so far? All sounding good? Okay. Oh, and yeah, we need our roll for your party link. So let me get one of those. Drop that in the chat there. Okay, so that. So James, I think you're pretty new to the Gauntlet. You may not have seen this before. So click on that link. It's an online dice roller. So if you have physical dice on your table and you want to roll them, or you've got like a dice roller app that you want to use, something that's totally fine. I trust everyone here not to cheat with their rolling. But a lot of people like to use the Roll for Your Party, because if you're going to that specific link, then we can all see what you roll. So you just type a 2 in the D6 box there, hit submit, and it'll generate some random dice there. And so then the last thing that you're going to need to do for setting up your character is you're going to need to pick your character move. So at the beginning, you get a special move that your character can do. And that's on this group moves file that I linked in the email. You'll see there's a whole bunch of them there, and you can just copy and paste the text into the character keeper. Each person should have a different move, character move. So that's what distinguishes your character from the others. So, excuse me. So then the last thing to talk about is safety mechanics. So we want to make sure everybody's having a good time. We want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to come up that's going to mess with anyone's enjoyment of the game. So the first thing we want to do is what we call lines and veils. So if you look at the third tab of Character Keeper, the Warren Notes, I've made a couple columns there for lines and veils. That's if there's anything that you know right off the bat that you want to either not have in the game at all, any subject matter, any kinds of things that can come up, stuff you just stuff you don't want to see come up. We can either put a line on it, which means we're just not going to do it at all. It's going to be totally gone from the game, or you can put a veil on it, which means it can happen in the story, but it'll happen kind of off screen. So we're not going to actually play through it and kind of think about how all that's happening. So if anybody has any lines or veils that you want to add, go ahead and go to that tab and you can just type them right in. I'm going to start with a line of excessive gore. So, you know, bunnies can get hurt, but I don't want to get into the details of things getting ripped apart or whatever. We'll try to keep that out of the game. So if anybody else has any lines or veils, go ahead and put them in there. And then during the game, if something comes up that you know, you didn't think of in advance, and you're like, I'm not comfortable with that. You know, if it's like a, you know, phobia it's hitting, or it's just like grossing you out, or you know, it's making you unhappy to play with that. We've got some safety tools there in the Roll for Your Party. You can also just like type the name of the thing that you want to do into the chat, or say it if that's easier for you. So the X card basically is if somebody does something like, say I have you attacked by a giant pile of spiders, and you're like, spiders, I'm not doing spiders today. You can just hit the X card, we'll rewind and go in a different direction. I'll come up with something different. And so you can hit that X card on anything that anybody does. Don't have to explain it, don't have to justify it. We're just like, all right, we're not using that idea. We're gonna pick something else just to make sure everybody is having fun there. And then we've also got the rewind, pause, and fast forward buttons. So again, those are if we want to essentially do that thing to our story. So if you want to rewind, go back and talk some more and deal some more with something that you're like, you need to address, you can do that. Pause if you want to take a break, kind of clear your head, cool off from something that happened. Fast forward if you're like, okay, this is cool. Let's not dwell on this. Let's jump past it. You can hit the fast forward there, and those are just kind of guidelines. If you're not, don't worry about like, oh, I don't know exactly which tool to use or whatever. Like if something comes up and it's ruining your fun, and you want to just tell us, we can sort that out. Because again, this is bunnies. Everybody should enjoy playing bunnies. Okay, so does that make sense to everyone? Are all good on that? Okay, so why don't you all go ahead and fill in your stats, your descriptions of yourself. Pick out your character move, the special move that you get to do off that sheet. And also, if you have any lines or veils you'd like to add, you can go over to that third tab, fill those in. Give everybody, I see people have got a lot of stuff filled out there, so I'll give everyone a few more minutes to do that. And then we're going to get to know your characters a little bit. We're also going to start putting together the world that you live in.
Which moves are you saying we need to choose from?
So if you go on the file, it's called Copy of Warren Group Moves, and the first page says Character Moves. So you're going to pick one of those.
Oh, I see.
And then you can copy and paste it into the Character Keeper document. And keep an eye on which ones other people have picked, because it's supposed to be one unique to each character. almost there. Just waiting for Josh to get character move picked out.
Sorry, I'm a slow reader.
That's okay. That's okay. So while you're finishing that up, something for everybody else to also be thinking about. I'm going to ask specific questions to specific people as we get this our world set up. But in terms of the general type of area that we're in, so I've specified Australia in the the pitch for this this series, but Australia has a lot of different types of areas. There's sort of a tropical areas in the northern part of Australia where there's some rainforest type of vegetation around. There is desert in the central part of the country that's barren, but it's not like a sandy desert. It has a lot of like little tussocks of grass and stuff around. And then in the southern part of the country, it gets to kind of a temperate zone with some, woodlands and so forth. So, sort of as a group, what kind of environment do we want to situate this in? Does anyone have a preference or a thing you don't want us to do?
I'd be down to put this in the desert or the forest if they have those in Australia.
I probably wouldn't want to be too close to the coast.
Okay. So desert sounding reasonable to folks? Yeah, let me find a image here. Oops, that one is very small. I'm looking for a good image of the Australian desert. There we go. Put an image in the chat there. Everybody take a look at it. Does that look like the kind of environment that we want to be in? So we've got kind of a reddish soil, very rocky in a lot of areas. We've got those tufts. It's called spinifex grass. It's very dense and very pointy, but if you can burrow yourself in there, then it's hard for other stuff to get at you. There's occasional shrubs. There's these nice big rock outcroppings that show up from time to time. So, okay. So that sounds good. All right. So let me go through and I'm just going to go down the list as you appear in the character keeper. And I'll ask you a question about our Warren. And so you can tell me what you think, and we'll kind of build out a picture of this place that we're in. So we'll start with, and I'll address you by character name here to get used to thinking of you in character, and so that as you give the answers, you're kind of thinking like a rabbit, right? Thinking about how a rabbit would see this situation. So we've got Nettle. So Nettle, tell me, what can you see as you look out from the Warren? What are some of the specific scenery or landmarks that we can see from our Warren?
So I think one thing that we can see in the distance is a roadway. I don't know that I don't imagine that we see any big human habitation close by, but there is a road that is cutting through, and we occasionally well, I don't hear it because my hearing isn't very good, but at least other rabbits tell me that they can sometimes hear noises coming from, and I can certainly see things kind of going along the roadway. I imagine that we're on a kind of flattened area, but on the side, kind of our warren opposite where the roadway is, we can kind of see, we can see kind of, you showed in that picture some of the kind of rocky areas kind of bulging up. And so, on the side opposite the roadway is where we can kind of see some of that type of landscape.
Okay.
Otherwise, I guess you would say between the roadway and that area, it's kind of pretty flat in where we are, and so I guess our warren is kind of right where we start to kind of get to some of these, I guess more slightly more elevation and stuff like that, but where we get some of these kind of rocky areas that are kind of coming up from out of the flat scrub.
Okay, good. Okay, awesome. So you got kind of some rocks behind you. You've got to the other side the road. Out in the outback, you got a lot of really perfectly straight roads just for kilometer after kilometer, and the occasional they have the road trains where it's like the truck pulling 3 trailers behind it. They'll sometimes go roaring by. Good. Okay, so Snowball, tell me, is the warren large or small, somewhere in between?
Say that again. Sorry.
How big is the warren? Are we a big warren? Are we a small warren? Are we growing? Have we been losing rabbits? Are we holding steady?
I think, since we're out in this kind of desert area, it's not the greatest for, providing for a ton of rabbits. So it's probably small but growing.
Okay. So small but growing warren. Okay. And then Blue, tell me, how was the warren founded? How did rabbits first come to live in this location?
I think we kind of took over from some other animal. If they have badgers in Australia, something like that.
So there's various burrowing marsupials, like maybe a wombats.
Sure.
Like to dig holes. Okay, so we're in a former wombat warren,
and we've definitely expanded. I think that was just the initial tunnels. Yeah, I think they abandoned it. We did not chase them out.
Okay, so they had abandoned, and the rabbits found these old wombat tunnels.
But there's no evidence of why they abandoned it.
Okay, good. Okay, so Sturt, how are decisions made in the warren? What kind of a government system do we have going on?
Since we don't have that many bunnies in our warren, we kind of make decisions collaboratively. So we'll make decisions together. They don't have to be unanimous, but it's usually pretty close to unanimous for anything major.
Okay, so we don't have an official leader or power structure.
Not yet. We don't have enough bunnies to worry about it.
Okay, good. So more Watership Down than Ephrafa on the scale of things. Cool. All right. And then Digger, who's unhappy about the way things are in the warren?
Am I supposed to come up with an NPC or name one of the PCs? Or?
Well, don't put it on one of the other PCs. You can name specific NPCs or like a faction, a group. If it's like, you know, the young rabbits are the ones who are unhappy, or the you know, it doesn't have to be specific individuals.
Okay. I think the old rabbits are unhappy. The oldest rabbits are unhappy because the wombat nests, like, they're too cavernous by comparison to what they're used to, and it makes them nervous. It makes them feel like they're under the open sky all the time.
Okay, good. Because they're used to more traditional rabbit warrens, whereas the newcomers are newcomers is all you've known, right? Okay. Give me a second to jot down a few of these things. I'll have a few more questions to throw out here. Okay. Okay. Getting these all typed down here. All right. So going back around to Nettle, tell me, what's the hardest thing for rabbits in the Warren to obtain?
The hardest thing for us to obtain, I would say we do know a place back in that, you know, where the rocks are coming up, where we can find water back there. So the water is fine, but I would say during particularly dry spells, you know, when the plants really start to shrivel up, I would say it's finding a steady food source. Not always, but if we really enter into a kind of prolonged period of no rain, it gets pretty scarce.
Okay. Good. Then Snowball, tell me, what might others covet about the Warren?
I think being out here, you know, you said there's a road not too far away, and that scares off a lot of predators, and so it makes it a little bit safer than maybe some of the, you know, going deeper into the desert.
Okay. Predators don't want to tangle with the humans in their cars and stuff. Good. Okay, so who's next? I keep changing tabs here. Okay, so Blue, tell me, and you can just name one. Who's the most revered personage in the Warren? Whether it's someone living or someone dead, who would everybody in the Warren look up to or respect?
Someone did, and I think it's the rabbit that found this place for us. Like, we moved from someplace else because it had gotten too dangerous. This is kind of our refuge.
Okay. Okay, so give us a name for the founder.
Ash.
Ash, okay. And how did Ash die? Actually, no, why don't I do this? Let's make that the question for start. Tell me how Ash died. Why is Ash no longer with us?
Ash didn't actually die a remarkable death. Because
Okay.
Ash found this place for us to be safer, and we were able to find it. Ash was able to live safely with us, and we were able to keep Ash company till they died of old age.
Okay. Which I think is probably pretty unusual among rabbits. Actually, living until you die of old age. And I'm guessing that's probably part of why Ash is so revered. That Ash got to live so long there. Okay, and so then, Digger, one last question. What would make the Warren a better place, at least from your point of view?
Well, I'm obsessively digging, so I think that we need lots more passages between different parts of the Warren, because I think there's like wombat nest and wombat nest, but they're not connected. You have to go above ground.
Okay. Yeah, because rabbits like to dig the kind of like honeycomb of different runs under the ground. Wombats just kind of make a single. They're not social species so much. They just make kind of a single big thing. So that makes sense. Okay, and so I see Sarah had to step away for a minute. And she's back. Excellent. Good timing there. All right. So now that we've got some sense of where we are, what our Warren is like, why don't we go through and have everybody just introduce your character a little bit. Give us your name, tell us a little bit about what they look like, what their personality is like, what their kind of place in the Warren is like, because then we'll go around again and ask some questions to kind of create some ties between different characters. So we kind of want to know who we're dealing with before we start to link you all up. So Robbie, tell us about Nettle.
All right, so I am Nettle, he, him, and Nettle is I would say a adult in what most rabbits would consider to be the prime of adulthood, but Nettle clearly has had a rough life. His body is frail. His coat is singed as a result of some fire that he had encountered. He has a single ear and is quite weak of hearing, but he compensates for that by having particularly a keen sense of sight. And yeah, so
okay,
is and I think Nettle, he we don't really have a designated leader, and there's no way if the Warren ever decided to have a designated leader that would not be Nettle. And Nettle is very well aware that his hearing is not really great, and he is aware that makes him vulnerable. So I would say that he seems to be perhaps even a little bit more cautious and jumpy sometimes than your usual rabbit.
Okay. Good. All right, Josh, tell us about Snowball.
All right. Well, Snowball, most other rabbits just call him Snow for short. He's fairly young, and kind of awkward or shy or whatever. So, kind of, doesn't have a whole lot of friends or anything, but he's pretty pretty smart. But I think, as far as his name goes, he's an albino. He's a completely albino rabbit, or bunny, whatever you want to call him. And I think what is the founder that lived to an old age might be the only rabbit that in the whole warren that even had ever seen snow before. So, because it doesn't snow very often in Australia, period, especially in this area. So, most of the rabbits don't really understand, the name or what snow is. So, I think that's about it for him. He was the runt of the litter. So.
All right. Sounds great. All right, Sarah, tell us about Blue.
So, Blue is fairly young, but an adult. Stocky, gray, kind of curly fur, long ears. She, her. She's also more of a fighter than anything else. She's pretty strong and has a relatively cool head, I think. She's probably one of the ones who goes out more often.
And James, tell us about Sturt.
So Sturt is probably fairly young, just before young adult. But he, him for Sturt, and he tends to be very sociable with the other bunnies in the warren. He likes to spend time with the younger bunnies and the older bunnies and kind of talk to them and listen to them and hang out with them. Most of what he does is spend time and make a lot of the other bunnies try to feel better. Just why I picked the move that he has. But he also was named Sturt because he was found in a bush, the rose bushes, the Sturt desert roses, by one of the members of the warren, and just kind of followed them home.
Okay. And then David, tell us about Digger.
So Digger got his name because almost as soon as he was born, he started just clawing at the ground and hasn't quit since. So the parents decided to name him Digger, or whoever decides to name rabbits around here. And that's what he does. He is good at making complex things happen underground. So much so that I took the engineer move. And nobody knows what color Digger is because he's always covered in dirt.
Okay.
Maybe if we catch some rain around here, we could find out, but...
All right. Okay, so I'm then going to go through and I will pose a relationship question to each of you. And so the answer to this question could be another player character. If you, as we went through, if you heard somebody and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense for that rabbit. And make sure the other person is okay with you making that connection to their character. Or you can name an NPC. So, we've got some other bunnies in the warren. We said it's a small but growing warren. So I'm going to say that means you've got about 20 rabbits, if that sounds good. 20 total living in the warren, bunch of them much younger. But if you want to name any NPCs that you think would fit a certain role, go ahead and do that. Okay, so we'll start with Nettle again. So Nettle, who do you trust most of all?
I'm going to say that Nettle trusts Blue most of all. And should I give a reason? Or
yeah, well, and the two of you can talk it out too, if
well, I was thinking that you know, Nettle is quite frail, and
maybe I like take care of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I
related?
I admire the strength of Blue, and that gives me some comfort, but also kind of builds up my trust.
Do you want to be related? Or are we all related since we live together?
Yeah.
Fine, either way.
Yeah. No, I guess we could say that we were from the same letter.
Okay, so siblings.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. So then, Snowball. Let's see. Who would you like to see in charge?
I think now I know you said Nettle doesn't really want to be in charge, but I think that's who Snowball would see as the most, competent. You've been around. You've been through some stuff, obviously, with losing one ear. So Snowball just sees you as the strongest or most knowledgeable one there. Would that work for you? I mean, I know, like you said, Nettle doesn't really want to be a leader, but
yeah, but I think I mean I'm fine with that. I think that would create some interesting dynamics. So
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that Nettle would maybe be vaguely aware of that, and that would make Nettle a little bit nervous. But yeah, that I think that would work for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe there's like a small group of us at least that kind of look up to you, and even though you're reluctant.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing Sarah just put in the chat. The leaders who are reluctant to lead often make the best leaders. So, okay. So, Blue, who have you let sleep in your burrow?
Would anyone like to volunteer? This seems like it might be a...
It can also be an NPC if you want to create an NPC for the role.
Okay.
Or it could be...
It might be more interesting if it's a PC. Does anyone want the job? All right, cool. That is Sturt. Oh no. You probably got my burrow super dirty.
All right. And why? Why have you let Sturt sleep in your burrow?
I'd be cool with I am super close to your work site, or if you want to make it a romantic thing, that's fine as well.
I was also thinking, because I did say that Sturt was kind of like picked up off the side of a bush. Maybe you were the person that found Sturt.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense too, because I venture out more often than a lot of others. So I've kind of adopted you, maybe?
Maybe. It could be romantic. I'm not sure how you'd want to take that angle, but I think it'd be cool if you were the one who found me.
Okay.
Okay. Great. And so then turning now to Sturt, who knows your secret? You don't have to tell everyone else what the secret is, but who knows your secret?
Shoot. I have to think of a secret now.
Yeah.
Would it be okay with you if Digger knew the secret? How would I send you said secret if we don't want everybody else to know the secret?
You can, in the chat, you can whisper to people.
Oh, neat. I haven't used Hangouts since like 2013, so
I have to remember how. You might just type. I don't know.
Do you guys mind actually if we keep it kind of open table? That way, like if we know what the secret is, but in character we don't know.
oh, that's
kind
fine.
of lean into it a little more too.
I think that's cool too. I just I was honestly partially still thinking of it. So Sturt's secret is Digger is the only one who knows because Digger caught Sturt there because he was hiding in one of Digger's just dug out holes. But Digger is scared. I'm sorry, not Digger. Words. Sturt is scared of one of the patterns in wombat caves because it reminds the wombat footprints that were left behind. When he sees them, he thinks of bears and he gets really scared. So he's afraid of the wombat footprints if he finds any, and he dove into one of Digger's holes, which is why Digger found out.
Okay. And then Digger, who has turned out to be your rival?
I think Nettle has, because I have ideas on how to do things, but for some reason everyone just kind of listens to Nettle more.
Okay. Good. Yeah, we got some.
Does that sound good?
All right. Yeah. Good. We got some nice drama brewing among the bunnies. So I'd like to take a quick break. I need to grab a drink. So if anybody else needs to use the restroom or anything like that, we'll come back here in 5 minutes. Is that good? All right. So I will see you in 5 and we'll dive into the story. Okay, is everyone there? I see everybody. Okay, I see James just posted to the thread about their camera. Okay, so let me quickly then run through all the moves. So, as you play, you can just go ahead and describe what you do, and if you're triggering a move, I will, call that out. But just in case you're, angling for a particular type of result, it's handy to know all the different things you can do. So you've got your special character move that you selected, and I might not remember all those. So definitely, if you're trying to use your special character move, go ahead and just point that out to me so that I make sure that we do that. But so the moves that everybody can do here are resist panic, which occurs when you expose yourself to a new danger. You can speak plainly when you reason with another animal. So this is for NPCs. If you're reasoning with another PC, you just kind of role play it out. There's not a mechanical resolution for that. Pay attention when you give your full attention to things. And so with that, you're going to name which of your senses you're using, and then I will answer your questions in terms of what you can detect through that sense. So, I'll tell you what you hear, or what you see, or, depending on which sense that you chose. There's bolt, if you want to make a run for it, run away from some sort of danger. There's sneak, if you're trying to avoid being noticed. There is help or hinder. So if you're doing something that is, if somebody else is doing something and you want to help them do it or hinder them from doing it, you can roll that, and that will allow you to give them +1 or -2 either to their roll. So you can boost their roll on something, or detract from it, or you can add or subtract 1 from their panic score. Then you can relax. So that's the simplest way to reduce your panic score. You get a chance to play, groom, or rest in safety. You can struggle. So if you're trapped in some way and you're trying to get yourself free of it. There's compete. So if you're in a direct conflict with another PC, you would use that move to figure out how it works out. And basically the result of that is going to be the loser is going to end up with some panic, because rabbits don't like conflict. They don't like facing off against each other. You can dig if you need to make yourself a temporary burrow or hidey hole. We're Xing out the mate and Bertha litter moves. Innovate is just a way for us to make new moves if we need them. If you're encountering situations where there ought to be a move to cover it, or you're trying to come up with some new idea, kind of the way in Watership Down, they figured out that they could use the boat to float down the water, which is something rabbits hadn't known about before. And the other important thing to take note of in that list is there's no fighting move. So basically, if you get into a fight with another player character, that would probably fall under the compete move. But if you try to get into a physical fight with another animal, so like if a hawk comes after you and you say, no, I'm going to try to beat it up, then you lose. It's just kind of, rabbits are not fighters. And so if you attempt to get into a fight, you're just going to automatically lose. I'm going to do something nasty to you. So rabbits can run away, they can sneak, they can try to struggle to get out of stuff. But there's no combat in this game, because that's not how rabbits roll.
Now, what if they have tooth and claw? Where does that?
Okay, yeah, so that would be an exception, because you have a special character move that would apply to that. So if you're going to use that, make sure you might want to remind me, because I might forget. Because so that's something you happen to have, or Blue has the tooth and claw. Sorry, so Blue can fight, but other folks unless you have a move that says, unless your character move says you can fight, you can't. Okay. So are there any other questions before we jump into our story? Okay. So as we begin our story, it is it's been a sweltering Australian summer day. So it gets, in the deserts of Australia, it gets up to 40 degrees easily during the day in the summer. So 40 Celsius for us Americans, that's like 120 Fahrenheit, something like that. So enormously hot, though it is a dry heat. So it's, you're getting baked. The sun is pours down on you during the day. But as we're starting our story, it's actually getting towards nightfall. So the sun is starting to dip down below the horizon. There's some of those rock formations along the horizon that the sun is kind of, going down behind. And so there's kind of a little glow in the sky still. But it's getting towards night, and the five of you are nowhere near the Warren. So somebody tell me, why are you all so far away from the Warren when it's getting close to night? Because this is a pretty dangerous situation for rabbits. Why are you out here?
The water was some distance away.
Okay. Does that sound good to everyone? You're out seeking water. Okay. So you went out looking for some water. Yeah. So there's a little bit of water close to the Warren, but it's not too reliable. During the summer, it sometimes dries up, and so you had headed out looking for a water source. And so somebody else tell me, were you able to find that other water? Are you on your way back from it, or were you still looking when nightfall crept up on you?
Yeah, I think maybe we were able to find it. And we kind of we know of like this other alternative place, but it's like much further out that we had to kind of go in order to get it. Okay.
So you've found this other water source, and it just took you a while to get there, and so now the night is coming down. You can hear some noises of some other critters. They're starting to wake up, some of the more nocturnal inhabitants of this area. And so tell me what you're all thinking. What are you all doing as you're seeing the sun go down here?
I think Snowball is kind of, like, this is not good. We need to be back. We need to be back in the Warren. I'm white. I'm going to stick out here at night.
Yeah, Snowball, it sounds like you might need to resist panic here, because you're right that you are particularly exposed at night with your bright white fur there. So why don't you roll and add your steady score?
Okay. Oh, well, that's boxcars.
All right. Yeah, so you're unshaken. So tell me how you calm yourself. How do you make sure, because you've got good reason to be panicked, but you're holding it together. What are you doing to keep it together?
I take a deep breath, and I look over at Nettle, and obviously Nettle's been through, he's been in worse situations before, just looking at him, and so having Nettle here calms me down.
Okay. And Nettle, how do you feel about that, being the exemplar of rabbit survival in this scenario? So I think you can probably see Snowball like looking admiringly over at you.
I think Nettle looks over at Snowball and says, Snowball, we're going to make it home, but stay alert, please. Stay alert. We're all dependent on each other. And I think Nettle is especially in this type of situation, Nettle is keeping focused, and his focus is especially on the sky. He kind of trusts that the other rabbits, with their sense of hearing, would pick up hopefully something if there was a predator coming on the ground, that they would pick it up and he would be able to kind of then pick up on their fear. But he thinks, you know, he's definitely better kind of spotting things that might be silently flying through the sky from a distance. And he has keen eyesight, so that's what he's looking at and trying to keep, you know, Snowball, encourage him to stay calm, but to also kind of keep himself alert.
Okay, well, so it sounds like you're trying to pay attention with your sense of sight. So why don't you roll those dice and add your shrewd. And we'll see what you can see while watching the sky.
All right. Get my... Okay, I rolled a 3, and my shrewd will make it a 5.
Okay, so that is still less than 6. So yeah, if you can describe what you're doing, that would help him, then you could roll to help.
Yeah, so I think I'm kind of out front and like really paying attention to everything on the ground so that he can really focus on the sky.
Okay, so you're giving him the confidence that he can focus on the sky and doesn't have to worry about the ground. Okay, I'll go with that. So roll plus your shrewd.
Won't it still be a 6- if even if you help?
That's true. It would still be a 6. So you'd need 2 people to both successfully help. That's right. So yeah, so you may be helping in that sense, but it's not enough.
Maybe Sturt is also kind of trying to pay attention, to look around and help as well. Probably closer to Blue, because Sturt kind of clings to Blue mostly, but kind of copying what Blue's doing.
I wonder too if you're maybe familiar with this area. Like maybe this is where I found you, and you know.
I like that. Yeah, this is maybe that's why.
Oh, that's why we could find the water.
That's
so
all of you. Yeah.
Because there's rose bushes around here, so that's
okay.
Yeah, the little desert roses. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I like that. So Blue and Sturt, why don't you both roll and add your shrewd, and if you both get at least a 7, then that will be enough to bump Nettle up to a 7.
I don't know what I just rolled. Hold on.
You got a 10.
Yeah.
I did? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
why doesn't? Okay. So you got Sturt got an 11, and then Blue. Is that your 4 over there on the side?
Yeah, it's 4 plus 0.
Okay. Yeah, and so actually, if everybody wouldn't mind, you can see on the roll for your party, there's the little color drop down.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Set that to the color that your character section on the character sheet is, so that way it's easy to tell what dice are whose. Okay. So we didn't quite get enough help for you there, Nettle. but you still get to ask me a question. But then you'll be opened up to danger by it. So what would you like to ask me? There's some example questions there, but if you have something else in particular you'd like to ask about what your sense of sight is picking up from the sky, yeah, I won't limit you to those specific questions that are listed there.
I'll go with the, like, while I'm like gazing at the sky, I think I'm also kind of alert to occasionally glancing down, not for predators. I'm trusting the others for that, but the where can I flee to? Like always being aware, like, okay, if I see something up there, where would give me the best quick escape?
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. So there's your best escape right now is there's a little bit of a rock outcropping that's kind of just up ahead of you that is, it's a few meters tall, but it's got kind of tiers to it. So you'd be able to hop up it, and it's kind of a jumble of rocks. So there are lots of like hidey holes to slip into and stuff. And the reason that you are able to, the reason you're able to see that so easily is because there's some extremely bright light that comes from behind the group, and it illuminates that that little rock outcropping ahead of you. You all cast these incredibly long shadows out towards it, and I know that Nettle's hearing isn't so great, but the rest of you hear a loud roaring sound and a whole lot of excited shouting coming from behind you as these lights come up across you from behind. Run. All right. So if anybody who's gonna run for it will need to make a roll for bolt. So roll and add your swift. And if anybody's gonna do anything else besides running, just let me know.
I think I would just like hop to the nearest bush and hold real still.
Okay, so you're gonna sneak then. So you roll and add your shrewd.
I'm not very fast, so I would probably be doing something similar.
Okay. Okay, so we've got Digger and Sturt trying to hide. Blue is gonna run. Nettle and Snowball. What are you gonna?
I will say that I will run if Nettle runs. If not,
yeah, I think Nettle's planning to bolt towards that outcropping.
Okay.
And I think I would just follow Nettle on that one.
Okay, so everybody go ahead and roll, and once you've rolled, just tell me what your total result was there. Since we got a lot of moves happening all at once.
I've got a 12.
Okay, so Digger's got a
7 for me.
Blue got 8.
Nettle got a 3.
Oh. Okay.
8 for me. Sturt.
Okay. All right. So let's deal with the folks that are hiding first. So Sturt got an 8, and Digger, what did you get?
I got a 12.
A 12. Okay. So you get to pick 3 of those options out of behind cover, silent, downwind, and no tracks.
Yeah,
Sturt, you get to pick. Oh, go ahead.
Cover, I'll be behind cover, silent, and no tracks.
Okay. And Sturt, which one of those would you like to make sure you've got?
Downwind.
Downwind. Okay. All right. So tell me what this looks like. Where are you hiding as this noisy bright lights contraption comes barreling up towards you?
I get behind a rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would assume if this thing has a nose, it's where the light is. So I would try to be at a rock behind where the nose looks like it is.
Okay. Okay. So I'm envisioning you're kind of scattered two different rocks in the area and duck down behind them. And so you can see this four-wheeler kind of come rushing around, and there's 3 humans in it. They are having a blast, and one of them tosses something out of the vehicle as they go by the hiding place rocks, and it shatters on the ground. Doesn't hurt you, but it's kind of startles you. It like goes behind you and smashes, and you can smell the smell of beer from this bottle that they just threw. And so how about then those of you that were running? Remind me your scores there.
I got a 7.
8.
And I got a 3.
Okay, so Blue and Snowball are going to get kind of middle results. So let's do that first. So on a 7 to 9, you run fast enough, but choose one. You don't end up exactly where you intended. Takes more out of you than you would have thought, and so you get a -1 to your next roll, or it's much closer than you care for and you get +1 panic. So each of you can decide for yourself which of those 3 kind of results you want.
I think I don't end up where I intended to. I assume Nettle was probably heading towards that outcropping of rocks that he knew where to flee to, and I thought I was following him and got disoriented between the sound and the lights and have no idea where I am.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say then you were going for the rock outcropping. You end up behind one of those grass tufts or sort of in the grass tuft. And so those things are actually like there's like living grass around the outside, and there's like this dead spot in the middle. And so you're like in that dead spot, so you can look out through the grass and see what's going on. But you ended up on kind of the opposite side from where that rock outcropping is, and this vehicle is like swinging around. It's like making a circle around and coming back through, kind of cutting you off from where the other rabbits are. So how about Blue? What?
It's much closer than I care for. +1 panic.
Okay, so you up your panic by 1. You make it to the rock outcropping, but you're pretty rattled by it.
So it's because I stay close, and that's why I'm panicked.
Well, no, it's a close call. You almost don't make it, kind of thing. And so that's why you're like, oh, geez, right? Like I almost got run over there, and so that's why you're feeling a little panicky from that. But you did make it to the rock outcropping. Okay, so then last is Nettle. So you got a 3, you said?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. I get to do something nasty to you. So I think that what happens is you dove for those rocks, and you found yourself a little hole to hole up in, but the vehicle swings back around. Right, they make kind of a circle there, and so so that who is it that's cut off now?
Nettle.
Oh, no, Nettle's
yeah.
Snowball.
Snowball. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Ended up in the. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So it swings back around. So Snowball's kind of on the opposite side of it, but Nettle, you realize you are now directly under it. So you found a hole in some rocks that this thing is kind of driven up onto, and so the motor is like pounding above you. You can kind of feel the heat of it radiating into the ground. It's not like running you over, but it is right there. And so I think you're gonna want to roll to resist panic now, because this thing has got you kind of pinned down underneath this vehicle.
Okay, so I rolled a 9, and do I add steady?
Yep.
So that would give me a 10.
Okay. So you're good. So tell us, you're in a scary situation. How do you hold it together here?
I think what I do, and I'm in this little hole, and I think what I end up doing is I just kind of go. And does the hole have an end to it, or does it keep going?
It's just kind of a pocket between some rocks. So there's like enough room for you to squeeze in there, but it doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Nettle starts to, breathe, but concentrates and focuses, and he has a frail body, and so he just kind of within that little hole of sorts just tries to make himself as small as possible, and as far down as he can go, and pauses there.
Okay, yeah. So you're hiding out there, and you realize that this thing, as loud and obnoxious and smelly as it is, it doesn't seem to know that you're there. Right? It's over top of you, but it doesn't actually know that you're there. And so you know that as long as you stay where you are, it's not gonna be able to get you.
And I think Nettle is also saying, I'm glad that I don't hear very well, because I'm sure that if I heard the full sound from this machine, I would be panicked for sure.
Yeah, I think you can like feel the vibration in your chest, but you can't really hear the engine very well. And you can smell a bit of the exhaust smoke and stuff. Yeah, so this thing, it stops, and those of you that are not underneath it can see the humans. There is, it looks like one male, 2 female humans, and they're hanging out. One of them's in the driver's seat. The other 2 are kind of partying in the back, and you can't understand what they're saying. They're kind of yelling back and forth to each other, clearly enjoying themselves. And one of them will say the driver's one of the female humans, and the other female human in the back is kind of pointing over to the rock outcropping, and seems to have seen something, but they can't figure out. They're like squinting. They saw something running, and the woman that's driving kind of gives the folks in the back kind of the like friendly punch in the arm kind of thing to like settle down, and then the vehicle starts up again and kind of roars back off into the desert, away from where all of you are. And it is now safe to come out from your various hiding spots.
I think I address the group. And I'm like, I know Nettle said we'd get back, but we should probably just find a place to stay here for the night until it's daylight again, right?
We stay out here, we'll be for sure.
Well, the bushes right there? There's behind the water sometimes there's a little hole and maybe we can make it bigger for now. It's so close to the mud and the water and stuff that I think we'd be okay.
Have you stayed there before?
Yeah. I didn't get eaten.
I'm like, hey, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, look. And I do this like thumper thing with my back foot, just like tapping the ground like repetitively, to show that like the ground is soft. I'm like, I can dig us a hole in no time.
Nettle?
I don't know. I mean, this is. Are you sure about this? I mean, it's not. It's not as safe as the Warren. The Warren's the safest place for us.
Yeah, but if we move now, there's going to be owls and things.
Wombats.
I kind of like look up, look down at my fur. Maybe you're right.
Take a page out of Digger's book.
Do you expect me to roll in the dirt?
I get eaten?
You can't get like this just by rolling in the dirt. I'm just saying.
There's mud if that would be better.
Well, I think I'm going to try and dig a hole if we're going to be here.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so
Roll to dig.
I've got that engineer move, which gives me a +1 on digging under certain circumstances. And I try to invoke it. It says, when you take time to survey a site, identify a feature of the site and how digging there might turn it to the Warren's advantage to get +1 forward when you dig.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've tried to point out that the earth here is loose.
Okay. That sounds good. So go ahead and roll. Add +1, and then you're strung.
So we're looking at a total of 12.
Okay. That sounds good. So you're able to scratch out a simple burrow. I think you're, I think a 12 is good for being able to dig enough that all 5 of you can get in there. As long as if I don't throw any more threats at you while you dig, you'd have time to dig that much. So yeah, you're able to pass the night in this makeshift burrow out away from the Warren. And during the night, it's pretty quiet, but there's the occasional flash of light, or you think you might hear something in the distance. So it's not restful enough that those of you that have taken some panic are able to get rid of that. So you're gonna still have that panic on your mind as you wake up the next morning.
Yeah, but definitely like sleeping in a huge bunny pile.
Yes, very much bunny pile. And that's convenient because as hot as it gets during the day, it can get pretty chilly at night because there's just no cloud cover. All of that heat just disappears during the night. The soil retains a bit of it, helps to keep you warm, but it's good that you've got your bunny pile through the night.
Digger sleeps like a newborn. He's very self-satisfied, feels like he got one up on Nettle by having a better plan and digging a sweet hole.
I just try to stay away from Digger so I don't get his dirt all over me.
Okay. So you're going to wake up in the morning. It dawns bright and clear. It looks like it's going to be another hot one today, as the sun's kind of coming up from behind. There's little rock outcroppings all over, right? So there's on the other side. There's some rocks. The sun is now coming up from behind as you all wake up here. So who is leading the way back to the Warren once you've got some nice light out?
I think I would.
Okay. So why don't you give me a pay attention roll just to get a sense of the lay of the land on the way back to the Warren.
What stats is that using?
That uses Shrewd.
Then that is a 9.
Okay. So you get to ask me one of those questions to learn a little more about what separates you from the Warren as you make your way back.
This is under pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay. What here is the greatest danger to me, I guess?
Okay, so the greatest danger to you here is once the light has come up and you can see farther now. You can see that out towards the horizon there is a bunch of human structures that you haven't seen before. This is something new, and it's kind of along your best path back to the Warren. Not like directly in your path, but you'll pass closer to it as you head back to the Warren. It looks like some sort of temporary trailers and stuff that the humans have set up there, and you can see a few people moving around there doing some sort of whatever it is that humans do with their days. There's some people moving around in this new cluster of structures that has been set up.
Okay, so without mentioning what I've seen, I just want to lead them sort of in a wider path, so we don't get so close to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't want to panic them either.
Okay.
I'm kind of panicked.
All right. So what all do you tell them anything, or do you just say, "Oh, it's this way"?
Because I was leading them to begin with, so I think I just lead them in a slightly different direction. If anyone asks, I'll tell them, but not until then.
Okay. Do any of the rest of you think you would notice that you're being led in a slightly circuitous route back to the Warren? Or would you just trust Blue to lead you?
Just Blue.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Nettle, is again kind of scanning the sky, and I think is trusting. I mean, Nettle, I don't think is trusting Blue to be the one to guide, while he then kind of keeps his eyes alert on if there's any predatory birds or something that would be flying overhead.
Okay.
I think as we're like moving and hopping along, go over to Digger, and there's like there's got to be a better way for us to get water. I mean, it's terrible to get stuck out here like this. Do you think there's any better way to get water to the Warren? find a better water source for us, or somehow move the water source?
You can't dig in water. Like it doesn't work. It goes back.
Goes back?
You dig the water and it just like you drink the
no,
water.
I wasn't saying dig the water. Maybe like you know how the water kind of it goes down and it's kind of like a tunnel with no top on it. Maybe we can make a tunnel like that to make the water flow through it.
That might work. I mean, it'd be a long tunnel. It could take.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like our own river,
like an underground river straight to the Warren. That could be cool.
I mean, do you think you could do it?
Of course, I could do it.
Yes, we're planning some engineering feats here.
He is the engineer.
Yeah. All right. And Sturt, what do you think of all this? Since you're the one that knew about this water source, does that sound like a plausible plan to you? To dig an aqueduct?
So, I clearly don't know what an aqueduct is, but I admire Digger quite a lot. So if Digger thinks it'll work, I think it'll work. And actually, Sturt's kind of like, we could start digging it right now if you think you know how. We could just dig on the way back.
Maybe. We probably need more people's help. This is going to be a long tunnel.
Aww, I wanted to dig.
I mean, if somebody wants to try digging an experimental section and wants to roll for that and see how it works, I am all for that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not like pressed for time and everyone's willing to hang out, I don't have a problem like trying it a little bit.
Okay. Why don't you go for it then? Yeah, because your blue's leading you wide of where the humans are, so there's no obvious threat right now.
So probably just start near the water source and dig towards it underground and see if it works.
Okay.
Is this like a new thing, or is this still dig?
Let's treat it as kind of a variant on dig. So yeah, so roll and add your strong.
Okay. 11.
11. Okay. So yeah, so tell us how this works.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're just killing some time. We're not like trying to do something crazy here. So I just dig like a couple feet out from the source of water where like it's dry earth. I dig down a little ways and then like start to tunnel towards the water, and like I keep having to like look up through the hole and like ask to make sure I'm going the right direction. Mm-hmm. And like somebody like confirms it to me, and I keep digging and then like keep doing it, and then finally like I start hitting mud, and the mud starts to like flow through with like a little bit of water. And then I like climb out of the hole and like watch down, and eventually the water like pushes the mud out of the way and like fills the little hole.
Okay, so you've made a little water tunnel going, we'll say a few meters away from the water source. You've managed to show that you can make it travel. And the water starts kind of bubbling up out of the little hole that you dug. And there's like a couple small birds, not anything that would be threatening to a rabbit, kind of spot it and kind of flutter down and are kind of peering at it. And so one of them kind of looks at you, identifies you as the digger of this hole, and is just kind of in wide-eyed bird amazement. What is this?
I don't know. It's a water track.
It's a water track, and the bird kind of nudges the other bird with her wing. He says it's a water track. Oh my gosh!
And it's all very exciting. It's ours, though.
Oh no, water belongs to all the animals. We're gonna go tell all our friends, aren't we? And the other bird like nods, like that sort of bird nodding kind of thing that the birds do, and they're kind of chattering back and forth to each other. Yeah, we're gonna tell all our friends. All the birds are gonna come see the water.
And I just kind of like
see the water track, and they both take off and start kind of circling. And
I just whispered to Blue, I'm like, it's okay. We'll dig a water track from the Warren all the way here, and that way that no one can get it but us. We're just gonna need somebody. Yeah, but we're just gonna need somebody to figure out that, make sure we're pointing the right direction.
I can do it. And those birds are small anyway. They couldn't drink all the water.
They couldn't dig their own water track if they wanted.
Yeah, they're probably just going to come here and gawk at it.
Just a question, Digger. Is it actually dangerous? I mean, I'm just thinking, what if we accidentally flooded the Warren?
Well, why don't we make it so that it's next to the Warren? Like, Digger can go extra down.
Yeah. That'll be fine. Or we could just put all the water in like we'll just put all the water in one of the wombat dens.
Yeah. Or we can just have a separate like entrance to it so it can't flood the rest of the Warren too, right? That wouldn't be too hard, would it?
I don't think so.
You don't have to bring it to the Warren exactly. You can just bring it a lot closer, because this ground gets so muddy. We don't want that.
Wait, so you're saying water makes mud?
Yeah.
Would I know that? Is that above rabbit knowledge?
I think you would know that. I think that's
I never
straightforward enough scientific principle.
I never put both of those together, but I guess you're right. There is always mud near water.
And if we put water near our den will be mud.
We don't want there to be mud. We'll put it a little ways away.
But wouldn't it be easier to just, if we felt like we needed water, wouldn't it be easier just for us to move where we're closer to water?
But then we'd have to share the water.
And we'd have to make an entirely new den.
And you want to leave the place that Ash found for us?
Wait, no, actually, I think I'd be okay with that.
This area where the water is not as safe as the Warren.
Yeah, there's people here.
Yeah, and so just as you make that comment, oh, there's people here, everyone can hear, or at least Nettle might not hear it quite as well, but everyone else can hear the sound of an engine approaching.
Not again.
From the direction where Blue spotted the human stuff. It was approaching at a much more sedate pace than the one you encountered last night.
But we recognize it as the same kind of sound.
Yeah, it's the same kind of sound.
It's the machine again. Kind of like grab Nettle and go to hide.
Okay, why don't you roll sneak for me? So roll dice, add your shrewd.
That is 7. That is an 8. Oh, wait, sorry, no, 7.
Okay, so do you want to be behind cover, silent, downwind, or no tracks?
Behind cover.
Okay. So What kind of cover are you gonna get behind?
There's probably just a lot of low scrub brush sort of things.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Just like get flat and burrow under.
Okay. Yeah, so you get behind behind this cover, and the vehicle kind of rolls up, but it's not coming directly at you this time. It actually heads back over to the spot where the whole incident happened last night, and it comes to a stop close to where it had stopped before, and the person gets out, and you actually recognize it, that it's the male human that was in the vehicle last night. And he hops out, and he's kind of like rubbing his head like he's got a powerful headache, and he's got a big trash bag with him, and he starts kind of scuffing around, and he picks up the shattered beer bottle and like shoves it in his trash bag, really kind of resentful that he's being made to clean up his mess from the previous night. And he kind of stops and he looks around, and he like wipes some sweat off his brow, and then he looks down at the ground, and he seems to see something, and you realize that with all the mud going on, though you have made it behind some cover, you've left some pretty obvious rabbit tracks in the mud, and he sees that there have been rabbits hopping around. He can kind of see the direction that you hopped off in to get behind your cover there. And
what is everyone else doing though?
Yeah, so everyone that's not behind that cover, I'd like you to roll to resist panic, because you've got a new danger approaching from this curious but hungover human.
So that's plus steady, right?
Yes.
9.
Okay. So you'll keep it together, but take 1 panic.
Total of 11.
All right, so you are all good then.
Got an 8.
Okay, so you keep it together, but you get a panic. So things are getting a little scary here. And so as the human comes over, and he's looking at where the digging happened, and he's kind of inspecting all of the tracks there, and kind of like tracing them with his finger. He's like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool, rabbit tracks." Kind of, you don't understand exactly what he's mumbling to himself because it's in human language, but you know. So yeah, so what?
But he looks like he's tracking us.
He's inspecting the footprints. It's not clear exactly what he intends to do with this information, but he's clearly pretty interested in seeing that there were some rabbits there. And then he's kind of checked out the tracks, and he kind of looked around a little bit, and he goes back to his vehicle and kind of slings the trash bag back into the vehicle, and then he opens up the back of it, and he takes out a gun.
Do we know that it's a gun?
You've seen things like this before, because remember, rabbits are pests in Australia. They're an invasive species that are not always welcome. So I think at least some of you, actually, who wants to volunteer as someone who has had a close encounter with a gun in your life?
It's got to be Nettle, right?
Yeah, I think Nettle has had some run-ins with humans before.
Is that how you lost your ear?
Well, and also I have this singed coat, and yeah, that I've had a couple scrapes and pretty bad accidents caused by some run-ins with humans.
Okay, so you see what he's getting out of his car. It's like a rifle. And so, what do you tell your compatriots about it?
I will say we've got to keep calm, but danger alert. And there is a thunder stick that is very dangerous. But keep calm. Hopefully you won't see us.
Just lay my ears back flat and hold real still.
Okay. So he comes back over, and he's moving kind of slowly, but he seems to have the idea in his head that he might shoot a rabbit here, and so he comes back to where the tracks are, and he starts to kind of follow them with his eyes towards where Blue, towards where you're hiding. Since you're the one that did not choose no tracks as your option, he's following it.
Can I take an action here?
Sure.
Sturt sees that he's going towards where Blue and Nettle are and tries to get his attention and dashes out to get his attention. Tries to run across his line of sight into one of the bushes.
Okay. So why don't we call that a bolt, since you're making a run for it?
I am very slow too, so this is going to go poorly.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So this is going to be a -1, and okay, 9.
Get a 9. Okay.
I've rolled well at least.
So you run fast enough, but choose one. You either don't end up where you intended, it takes more out of you than you would have thought, and so you get a -1 to your next roll, or it's closer than you care for, and you take 1 panic.
I'm going to definitely say that it was closer than I care for, and I take 1 panic, because Nettle said it was dangerous, and if Nettle's afraid, I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little panicky here, and I get across his line of sight. I get to where I'm meant to be, but I'm real scared that he's about to kill one of us.
Yeah. So in fact, I think what happens is, he's got the rifle and he's aiming it towards the bit of scrub where Blue was hiding, and then from the corner of his eye, he sees you come charging across, and makes kind of a split-second decision to turn and try to fire at you. And so, his reactions are a little slower than he might like. He's a little hungover. So he misses, but you hear the crack of the gun going off. You could swear that you could feel the wind of the bullet cruising past you. So it doesn't physically injure you, right? It doesn't hit you, but your panic level rises a bit there, because you clearly attracted his attention, and he definitely took a shot at you.
Yeah, now I know why they're called thunder sticks.
Yeah. So we got the loud noise, and he kind of curses because he saw you. He saw he missed you.
I think Nettle would while this is going on, we'll say, Blue, I think we should move a little bit from where we are. I think we should sneak over to that other tuft over there.
Yes, I think he knows where we are.
Okay, so you're gonna try to sneak?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to leave him no help if necessary?
Yes. So
Can we
Yeah.
do like a group action?
Yeah. So let's have Nettle roll the sneak, and then Blue, you can roll the help or hinder if he needs it.
all right. So I rolled a 7, and I get this is with Shrewd, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that'll give me a 9.
Okay. Yeah. So Blue, if you want to roll the help or hinder, you could bump that up to the 10 if you succeed. So roll and add your shrewd.
That is only a 7.
Okay. Well, that's still good enough. So the two of you managed to sneak off to a new location. So you get 3 of the 4 behind cover, silent, downwind, and no tracks.
Yeah, I think what would make sense would be certainly no tracks and behind cover. And I don't imagine he has a good sense of smell, so I would say silent is what we go for.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, he's a human. Humans don't smell very well to begin with.
And I think it's I just make a comment like I should take you out more often.
Okay, good. So, Snowball, what have you been doing this whole time?
I think I was kind of, scared and staying still. And then whenever Stuart, created the distraction, I think I kind of I think I was still by the muddy area. And so I think I do what was suggested earlier, and I just start rolling in the mud, trying to cover up my white fur.
Okay. So we'll kind of call that a modified sneak, since you're trying to do that to help you hide. So roll and add your shrewd there.
Okay.
So it's like camouflaging.
Yeah. So that's kind of sneaky.
And that is a 5.
It's a 5. Okay. So you were rolling in that mud to disguise yourself, and you thought you had it pretty good, right? You thought you're pretty well covered in that mud, and this guy seemed not to be paying much attention to you at first, because he was going after Blue, and then he took that shot at Sturt, but then, and so you're feeling pretty good about yourself when all of a sudden you feel a hand on your back, kind of grabbing you by the scruff and lifting you up.
When I feel that, I leave some droppings behind.
What's that?
So I think when I feel that hand, I leave some droppings behind.
Yeah. And so the guy seems to have spotted you right next to him, and he's kind of laughing at himself, right? Because he clearly overlooked you shooting at these other rabbits that were farther away, and just suddenly like, wait a minute, there's a rabbit right here, and I don't even have to shoot it. It's hiding from me right in that mud that I was looking at. And so he's got you by the scruff. You can struggle to get away if you like.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna struggle to get away.
All right, so roll and add your strong.
Actually, since I'm squirmy, I can add my swift since he's bigger than me.
Okay.
Which is good because my strong is terrible. That is a 9.
Okay, so That is a 9. If you'd like to, you could take a 1 panic to bump it up to a 10.
I think I will do that.
Okay. So you're gonna manage to wriggle free then. So tell us how you do that. What does that look like?
I think, I've got a pretty good coating of mud on me, so I'm kind of slick anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I just start doing, spastic, panicky moves, and, being that I'm muddy and he's kind of hungover, he just can't keep a good grip on that. He said he got me by the scruff.
Yeah.
I just slip out of it, and, as soon as I hit the ground, I'm going.
Okay. Yeah, because he didn't have a good grip on you because he saw you and was like, oh my gosh, rabbit, and like tried to grab you before you realized that he saw you. So he didn't have that good of a grip, and you're slippery with mud, and you managed to pull away from him there, and he lets out some more colorful Australian swearing at that. And so, Digger, what have you been doing here?
I think I've just been trying to lay low and hide.
Okay, so why don't you roll me a sneak as well and see how well you hid.
Yeah, 8.
8. Okay. So did you get behind cover, silent, downwind, or leave no tracks?
I don't think I left any tracks.
Okay. So what kind of cover did you duck for? Or how are you sneaking, I should say? Because you're not behind cover, but how are you avoiding notice?
Right. I think I'm just holding really, really still, like rabbits do.
Uh-huh.
Even in the open, sometimes it's hard to see them just because they hold so still, and they blend in pretty well.
Okay, so you're holding real still, and so after having lost his grip on Snowball, this guy seems pretty frustrated because he was always said, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot some rabbits," and has failed at it, and he's got the gun up and is just kind of scanning the ground around, hoping to see something. So why don't you roll to resist panic to see how calm you can stay while holding still out in the open.
I have 5.
A 5. All right. So you're going to take 1 panic from that. And so I think I'll offer you a hard bargain or an ugly choice. So I think that you're gonna, as he's sweeping his gun around, it feels like you feel like he's locked onto you. You're sure that he saw you as he's looking through across the sight of his gun, and so you can take off, but you're gonna run right towards somebody else. So who do you run towards? Who are you going to draw this guy's attention to of all your fellow rabbits that are hiding out around this area?
I think I bolt towards Snow because Snow is the most obvious, easy one to spot, and I just freak out and see Snow and run towards him.
Okay, so you run towards him, and so this guy is gonna swing around. He's gonna take one more shot with his gun there. So Snowball, why don't you roll to resist panic from this gunshot as you see Digger come running towards you from his hiding spot.
Seven.
Okay. So you'll take one panic there, and so yeah, this guy, he fires off one more shot, and it goes way wide. This guy is not a good shot at all. But it's pretty nerve-wracking to see him like aiming his gun, and your friend comes running towards you, and this human fires off his gun. And so just after that happens, there is a second vehicle. You've been so focused on this guy and his gun and the immediate threat, you didn't even notice this other vehicle comes pulling up, and there's another human in it who is has on a hard hat and coveralls and stuff, and yells, like really angry, yells at the guy with the gun and like gestures towards him, and the guy is like kind of hangs his shoulders and seems to say something apologetic, and like points towards where some of you are hidden. Seems to be saying something about rabbits, but the other human's not having it, and yells at him some more. And the guy with the gun kind of trudges back over to his vehicle, puts the gun away, and then the two of them drive back towards where the human encampment was that Blue saw.
Just stay hidden for like a good 10 seconds more after they've gone, just in case.
Yeah, and everything's nice and quiet as soon as those two vehicles, the two kind of ATV style, smaller, rugged terrain vehicles, and they drive off, and everything is nice and quiet for a little while.
And I think,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Nettle, when he sees them driving off, will try to kind of keep an eye as far as he can, kind of look at where they're going.
Okay. Are you trying to pay attention then?
Yeah, I guess I am. I want to say, do they completely disappear? Are there other vehicles where they're going, or? Okay.
Yeah, because short of paying attention, you'd see they kind of drive off until you can't really see where they're going anymore. But if you want to pay attention and find out a little more,
and I'd even kind of go kind of hop a little bit to get a good view of where I see them going. Yeah,
there's maybe like some rocks around that you could hop up on top of and get a little farther view there. So go ahead and roll that. Okay. Adding your shrewd.
All right, so a 6, and I get a +2 for shrewd, so I got an 8.
8, okay. So ask me one of those questions. Or if there's something else in particular that you're trying to find out, you can ask that.
I guess what I'm trying to do is to just look at them as far as I can, as far as my eyes would carry me. And I guess it would be just a version of what here is the greatest danger to me. Thinking that, okay, if I do see more danger than just those two vehicles.
Yeah, so you can see those trailers. So the two vehicles like pull up between they're kind of arranged in like a square, right? So the vehicles kind of pull up into where the area framed by these trailers, and you don't know exactly what they're up to, but it seems there's a bunch of other humans moving around. Most of them are wearing the hard hat and the coveralls, like the one that yelled at the guy with the gun, and so they've clearly got some sort of a project that they're working on. So these are not just like, you've seen people in those ATVs come driving around just like having a good time, right? Like the people last night, as far as you can tell at first, they were just like out for a cruise, having a good time. But these humans seem to be there for a reason. They've got some sort of project that they're working on, something that they're setting up for long term. So there's, again, you don't know exactly what it is that they're going to do, but there's potential for some bigger scale or longer term problems that they're going to bring about. But for now, for the moment, they're focused on working on stuff at the site where they've got all of those trailers set up.
Yeah, so Nettle will tell the others. I think the humans are making a burrow of their own around here. I think we best get back to our warren and let the other rabbits know.
Yeah, I would like to go home now, please.
Yeah, so I think while Nettle was looking out, watching where the humans go, I went up to Blue and I was, you said putting the mud on me would help me hide, and it didn't work. And now I'm dirty for no reason.
Because you were standing right next to them.
Well, what else was I supposed to do? I mean, everyone else took off.
I'm glad you're okay, though. You probably should have run.
Barely.
You okay?
Maybe. I don't know. I just want to get back to the warren.
Me too.
Yeah, home now, please.
Because I obviously still kind of shaking from the loud noise from earlier and the bullet.
All right, everyone. Let's go home.
Okay. So you're all headed back to the warren. And so that can go pretty uneventfully. You've had enough adventure for this trip. So you arrive back at the warren. The other rabbits are hanging out, looking for something to eat closer to the warren, and they all kind of come up to you as you're arriving back to ask, what's going on? Where were you last night? And we'll say, let's give a name to the rabbits that come up to talk to you. We will call them, let's see. I'm trying to think of names that aren't repeating Watership Down names. So I've just been watching the new Netflix version of Watership Down. Actually, we've got a whole name suggestion list here. We'll say that got Misty and Charcoal are two of the rabbits that live in your warren. They're two younger rabbits. They were kind of on the outer skirts of the areas that the warren rabbits were going to as you, or in fact, no. So nobody's outside when you get back because it's the middle of the day and it's like 40 degrees out, and it's not fun times for rabbits to be outside. In the summer like this, you mostly go outside in the early morning and the late evening. But you arrive back to the main burrow, where the kind of main entrance to the warren is, and Misty and Charcoal are kind of hanging out there, kind of keeping an eye on that entrance. And so they perk up as you arrive, and they're asking you, where were you last night? We were all worried. We thought maybe an owl got you, or maybe a dingo found you, or something. So they're excited to see that you're back, and they want to know what adventures you got up to that kept you away all night.
Okay, that's what matters. There are humans between here and the water.
What kind of humans? We haven't seen a lot of humans out here, aside from the road. But
humans in bright colors with
Stinky one.
Scary humans with thunder sticks.
thunder sticks.
What's a thunder stick?
Uh,
I just kind of shake.
It's a stick that is louder than all their machines put together, and apparently it can hurt you really bad.
And when you say that, Misty and Charcoal just kind of look at each other like, because louder than all the human machines. That's pretty loud.
And the humans have left the road. The humans are closer to our warren, and they seem to be building their own warren.
Charcoal says, but that can't be. Humans always stay on the road. That's what humans do. Is they go back and forth on that road. You're saying they left the road?
They left the road.
And there are quite a few of them. We don't know how many, but they seem to have their own warren that they're building.
Yeah, they're weird above ground warrens.
Yeah, Misty kind of rolls her eyes like above ground warrens. Like, who would have an above ground warren? Like, what even is that? Even wombats know that you have to dig below the ground for your warren.
I know Ash brought us to this place, and we've been safe here, but it might not be safe anymore. Not for much longer.
What would they do to us, though?
Catch us.
They tried to take Snowball.
They did. It grabbed me and lifted me up in the air.
Oh, no.
But maybe we don't have to worry about them. Me and Digger had an idea about getting water to the warren.
Oh, what's your idea?
Digger, why don't you tell them? You understand it better.
Well, so you know how rabbits run through tunnels?
Yeah.
Well, Snow had the idea that maybe, like, water could run through tunnels too. And if we just dug a real long tunnel to the water, we could have the water run here. And so that way we don't have to leave to go get water, and we can have the water for ourselves. Because it'll be underground and no one will know how to get it.
It worked, too. It worked. You made it work because you're smart.
We did it.
Okay, why don't you roll Speak Plainly to see if you're able to convince Misty and Charcoal of your aqueduct idea here.
I'll help him out with that if he needs it.
Okay, well, roll it first and see if you're in helping range.
What's the modifier?
So that one's Shrewd.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to need help.
Okay, so go ahead and
I can
roll
also
with your
help
Shrewd to help him.
if they still need it. Sturt can also help.
Okay.
I got an 11.
On the help roll?
Yeah.
All right. So that, what does that bump it up to total?
That puts us at 7.
At 7? Okay. So that's good. That gets you into that medium range. Yeah, so Charcoal kind of is thinking about it and seems to be like really cogitating on this idea of digging a tunnel for the water, and finally she says, "Well, we can try that, but you'll have to tell the rest of the Warren and get them on board with that, because we have a democratic system here. We can't just go off building tunnels because we feel like building tunnels, because who knows what effects that might have on the rest of the Warren. So we got to call an all Warren meeting. So the all Warren meetings happen outside, because there's not enough room in any one of the, even though the wombat tunnels are fairly spacious, but there's not enough room for all of the rabbits in the whole Warren, all 20 of you to get in there together and all hear each other. So Misty and Charcoal kind of put the word around that evening there's a spot. So we've got the rocky area behind the Warren. There's a spot up there that's kind of sheltered. It's almost like a little amphitheater in the rocks, so enough space for the whole Warren to congregate and all hear what everybody else is saying. And it's a little bit sheltered from outside view from. And so they kind of put the word out that at dusk there's going to be we'll call it a conclave. Make it sound fancy. There's going to be a conclave of the Warren to hear from all of you. And okay, I see you have a request for a bio break, so this is probably a good spot to take that, and we'll pick up in 5 minutes with the conclave. Okay, we're all here. So it is time for the bunny conclave. So there is, so it's getting towards evening. You know, the sun's getting lower in the sky. It's cooled down a good bit, and all of the members of the Warren have assembled in that kind of amphitheater-ish area that I mentioned. And there's one rabbit there. There's an older rabbit named Chestnut who is, you know, kind of grouchy, you know, giving up prime food foraging time for this. This better be good. So who in the group is presenting this proposal for digging this aqueduct?
I mean, I would
guess it would
love
be like
to.
joint between me and Digger.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you making the case? What are you telling the assembled rabbits?
I think I start out with talking about like how, you know, I'm sure we've lost some over the, you know, time we've been here, just trying to go get water, and talk about now the humans are moving in with and building their own warren, and how by doing this it would make it, you know, it would be so much safer for us not to have to go get water if the water comes to us.
Okay. And so there's sort of talk amongst the other rabbits, and you know, so some of them seem to think this is a good idea. There's some others that are saying, well, wait a minute, if there's humans coming, maybe we need to clear out of here entirely. And some others saying, well, if there's humans here, then we need to not draw attention to ourselves by doing something, you know, some big thing like digging this tunnel to the water source. And there are some others that think all of these things are silly and we should just kind of keep doing what we've always been doing. It's been working so far. It's what Ash would have wanted. So why don't you roll a speak plainly to see if you can win over the Warren as a whole here. So that's...
Sorry, I didn't unmute. Yeah, okay. That's a whole 5.
It's a 5. Okay. So yeah, so you are not terribly convincing to the rabbits as a whole. So there are some that are like the idea. Charcoal and Misty still are on your side. They think this sounds like a good idea. But a lot of the other rabbits are like, nah, that's a little too out there, a little too wacky. And since the Warren runs on kind of a consensus model, the group as a whole is talking about it, and they're like, well, if we're not all on board for this, we don't want to do it. If you can't convince everyone to go along with this plan, then it goes against the way that the Warren has always done things. And if you were to try to do this anyway, if you were to go against the will of the Conclave and try to do something like this anyway, then you would be ejected permanently from the Warren. So any more talk of building an aqueduct will be considered as considered as trying to divide the Warren.
Nettle, when with this debate going on, Nettle kind of scans the rabbits with, you said some of the rabbits were thinking that with the humans so close, we might need to leave. How sizable is that faction? And is that faction of rabbits, is there a particular age group, or, is there a kind of common faction there that I can...
I think it's some of the younger rabbits that are thinking, well, maybe we just need to leave altogether, because the older ones have a little more experience and they realize how good of a deal you have here. How nice the some of the tunnels and stuff you have, and how far you are from humans most of the time. But some of the younger ones that don't have as much experience are like, well, we should just up and move somewhere else, get away from where these humans are.
Yeah, I think Nettle will propose. Nettle will say, I do think the warren of the humans is concerning, and I think we should get a sense of what exactly they're planning to do. I mean, if they build a warren so close to us, that is not going to be good. I mean, as much as I hate it, we may have to think about moving away.
So are you proposing, and so we'll call this rabbit Dewdrop. So Dewdrop is kind of the spokes rabbit for this faction. And so are you proposing that we investigate the humans' warren?
I think we should. I mean, we need to get a sense of if it in fact is going to be a warren and how big it is. And we don't, those humans have the thunder sticks and they do horrible things. And he points to, like, when he says they do horrible things, he turns his head where his, missing ear is. Mm-hmm. They do horrible things like this.
Yeah. Okay, why don't you roll a speak plainly as well and see if this message gets across.
So that's it's with Shrewd, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got a 9 with it'll give me an 11.
Okay, so with an 11, yeah. So Dewdrop was looking a little skeptical, and then when you did the and they do this with showed your ear, you can see that got through to Dewdrop, and it was like, oh wow, it really hit him how serious the potential human threat is. And he kind of speaks up to the rest of the conclave and is like, I agree with Nettle. I think that we need to at least investigate the human warren and see what kind of threat they might pose before we make any rash decisions based on that. And the other rabbits kind of come around when they see you and Dewdrop are making a good case for this. And so the conclave basically asks if the 5 of you who discovered all of this would be willing to be the ones to go out and investigate the human warren
Of course. And she kind of means it, it doesn't mean it at the same time.
I think my ears just droop.
I'd put my ears back in like agitation, like you reject my plan and then you want me to do a favor for you, but I don't say anything.
Sturt's kind of like, Dewdrop, you should join us too. Since Dewdrop really wants to get away from the humans.
You know, and Nettle will agree to go along. He's going to keep a low profile. It's not. I'm not doing. Nettle's not trying to be heroic or anything like that. But he says, I you know, since I was one to help propose it, it's only fair that I be part of the scouting mission.
Okay. Cool. So, when would you like to launch this scouting mission? Anybody can contribute.
Rabbits are nocturnal animals, and I don't know if we would realize.
Well, rabbits are crepuscular. They go around in early morning and evening, more so than middle of the night or middle of the day.
Yeah, and I wonder, like there were less humans around when it was dark too.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you can propose to go at night if you think that's when
they found us too easily during the day.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Digger has no intention of going.
Okay, you're gonna stay behind.
Yeah, Digger has every intention of digging this water.
Okay, starting to dig the aqueduct in secret then.
Yeah, I just won't tell anyone. I'll just do it.
I think that was actually Snowball's idea too, was to try and convince Digger to go ahead and do it anyway. And work with him on it.
Yeah, it doesn't take much convincing, but I need help because I need help to orient the underground with the above ground. So
I'm like, if we do this, I can go along the top and thump the ground so you can hear the direction to go.
Nice.
Okay.
And it's not like Digger digging all the time is unusual.
Okay, so we're gonna split into two groups. We're gonna have the secret aqueduct diggers, and we're gonna have the human raiders going on. Cool. All right. So let's. Okay, so it is 10:55. So let's see what happens at the human encampment first. So it's, you'll set out in the evening, what kind of give yourself enough light to get to where the humans are. And as you're creeping up on them, you can see there's a lot of artificial lights. The humans like to have lights on all over the place, and you can see it's like I was describing before, there's kind of four main trailers that make this kind of square. There's a bunch of the ATVs around. You also now can see there's several pieces of very large earth-moving equipment, like bulldozers and backhoes and that kind of stuff, just, on a massive scale. And there is a little bit of freshly paved kind of feeder road that has been built that looks like connects this out to the main road, so that they've been able to drive some of this equipment in. And the whole area just stinks of human chemical stuff, gasoline and oil and grease and exhaust fumes and all that kind of stuff. You know, you can just smell everywhere, as well as, you know, the smell of human is really thick because there seem to be quite a few humans here. And so as you approach, you know, it's getting late. You can hear a lot of noise from the humans inside the trailers, and there's a few walking around outside doing some sort of human work, human errands of some sort, going back and forth between the trailers. But they mostly seem to be indoors right now. So how are you going to approach investigating this situation?
From distance, I kind of want to say.
Okay.
Like if everything's lit up, we should be able to see things well enough.
Okay. So if you want to take a look from a distance, that sounds like a pay attention with the sense of sight. So go ahead and roll and add your shrewd.
Nettle, do you want to take this actually? It's kind of your specialty, looking things.
Yeah, I mean, from the distance, yeah, I think I would try.
Okay, then you can go ahead and roll it.
Yeah, so I kind of just like nudge you forward. What do you see?
So with my bonus, I got a 11.
11. Okay. So you get to ask me 2 questions about what you can see in the human sight.
I guess, you know, I probably would, again, kind of surveying this, would want to know what is, and if I could, like, I mean, there's the question, what here is the greatest danger to me? I'm really worried about the Warren. I mean, which includes me, but like, what would be the most dangerous thing for me in the Warren that I can see?
So as you're looking over this area, you see that earth moving equipment, and this is bigger than any human machinery that you've ever seen. You know, you've seen plenty of cars and trucks and stuff going back and forth on the road. You've obviously seen the ATVs roaming around, but these things are just massive, and like the humans look tiny when they get into the cockpit to drive one of these things. And you can see some of the area around there. So, you know, you're approaching kind of from the one side, and there's the trailers in their little courtyard, and then the equipment's kind of past that, and you can see, looking all the way over in that direction, there's enough the outdoor lights on some of the trailers and stuff that you can see that the humans have been just basically leveling the ground out there, just like totally scraping it down unnaturally flat and moving very large amounts of earth around. And so you can tell if they were to take that equipment to any of the areas that you care about, whether it be the Warren itself or the areas where you forage or the water source or anything like that, they seem like they basically have the power to completely rewrite the landscape with this equipment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so that's an even more kind of existential threat than just like, oh, they're going to shoot some individual rabbits with their guns.
Mm-hmm. And I get 2 more questions.
You get 2 questions total.
Okay, so I guess, you know, given what I see going on here, knowing about my Warren, I think I'd like to ask, you know, if you'd let me, where can I flee to? But meaning, like, where could the Warren, like, where would be the best place for the Warren to flee to, given this threat that we see going on with the human warren that seems to be under construction?
So if the warren wants to just get out of town and get away from all of this, then the best place is going to be basically beyond where you have been in your life. There is no particular place that is necessarily seems, or actually, so let me put it this way. So there's these rock formations and stuff all around, like the ones where the Conclave was held and stuff. But you've also seen some clearly much larger things on the more distant horizon, much bigger rock formations rising up above the plain. And you've never been out there. None of the rabbits in the warren have ever been that far away, but you can see it because they're so big off in the distance. And so this equipment looks like it could destroy anything they took their mind to, unless it was something that big and that steep as some of those kind of mountains and gigantic rock formations that you've seen out on the horizon. Like those seem like, okay, even this like giant bulldozer would be a little stumped by that.
Okay.
Okay, so you've made some observations from a distance. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I don't know that Nettle is. Yeah, I don't know that Nettle is really keen on going in there. I mean, I think it's safer out here as opposed to trying to run in there. I don't know that I would.
Yeah, I don't feel like we need to.
Yeah, I don't know that we'd see anything in there that would, give us anything else.
Plus, they have those guns.
Yeah, the thunder
There's a lot of them
sticks.
in there.
Yep, and there are a lot more people in there too. So,
yeah,
Sturch just kind of sticking to Blue, not really doing much of anything. Kind of like, nope, let's go home.
Okay. All right, so it's just going to be kind of a reconnaissance from a distance.
Yeah, on the way back though, I kind of want to talk about the possible reality of moving and what that means.
Okay.
For us.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you discuss on your way home from observing the humans?
I think once we get into full dark, and we can't even hear the noise of that settlement anymore, it's just. Do you really think we'll have to move?
If that looks like a big warren. I've never seen anything like that, and if they build it, we don't know how big it's going to get. This is just a start.
Yes, but the warren we have, it's home. It's all we've known. It's all the newer rabbits. Stuart, no, it's what Ash gave to us.
I know, and it's going to be hard to persuade others to do it.
I mean, it's nice that we know it's home, but it doesn't matter if it's home if we're all dead because of the humans.
I know, it's a difficult decision, and I wish we didn't have to make it.
Well,
I've been alone out here for so long. Why now?
You knew Ash, right?
Did I? Did any of us? Out of game question.
That's up to you. If any of you want to declare that you are old enough to have known Ash.
Okay, I don't think
totally
Blue
cool.
is. I didn't know, but I've stories.
Well, why can't you be Ash? We're in danger now.
I'm not the leader.
Well, none of us were a leader. But we won't have home at all if those humans used the thing that Nettle saw. I mean, you could be Ash now. We might have to.
I don't know if I want to be. It's never been the role I've. Well, if anyone, it should be you.
I don't think we need another Ash. I mean, Ash is Ash, and I don't think Ash can be replaced. I didn't know Ash, but I think we should always preserve that memory. But I think we've got to face the reality. I mean, if the humans are intent on building this warren, there's not anything we can do to stop it. And I think we need to kind of consider the best way to persuade the others that this is a real threat and a real danger, and we can't just stick our heads in a hole and stay there. I think, if we do that, we'll see more humans with their thunder sticks, and it's going to be awful.
And even if they bring water to the warren, it won't do us any good if we can't leave.
And it won't do us any good if we have humans running around with thunder sticks over our heads.
Yeah. Maybe we can make the water track at the new place, wherever we move to. That way we can have both.
So we need to find a new place. Somewhere further out. Away from them.
And we need to try to take as much of our warren as we can with us.
All of it.
Yes.
We can't leave anyone behind.
Maybe we should try to find a place before we convince everybody. If we find a place first, it'll be a lot easier.
That's a good idea. Stuart, you've been out in the world. Was there anywhere else that looked likely? Because this place we're in now, we took it over. It was abandoned before we came here.
I mostly was by the water hole you found me because there was lots to eat and there was water there and humans didn't come as frequently. I mean, I've seen human settlements before, but that's really about it. I only know where the scary places are, not the good ones.
That's so sad.
And there are those big rocks that I see in the distance. I don't know if you're able to see those, but I haven't been there. I don't think any of us have been there, but there are big rocks in the distance that are far away from here. And those machines that they have couldn't dig in those rocks.
And the humans are lazy. They're not going to go that much farther.
That's what I thought before now.
I want to at least believe that.
All right. Tomorrow, then, we can check out the rocks, see if it's viable.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Cutscene.
All right. So while this is all going on, what's the plan for the guerrilla aqueduct digging? When and how are you planning to approach that?
I think we're like, just getting going. And I like flop onto my back inside of like a really, nascent small tunnel. And I do this like the thumper foot on the ceiling of the tunnel to try and attract Snow so that like he can tell where I am, so he can try and orient me the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm up there in the general area. I mean, we kind of know where he's starting, so yeah, I'm up there just listening for it and waiting to hear that. And then once we get started with it,
Yeah, it's just thump,
Okay.
thump, thump, thump. And then I guess you probably hear it and then like point to the general direction of the right way to the water, and you start thumping on the ground, and I put my ear to the ceiling of the tunnel so that I can hear you thumping, and I start digging.
Yeah.
All right, I like this system that you've got going, but as the GM, I can't let you just do that.
Yeah.
So
I think like for the start of our tunnel, we probably had to like pick a place like maybe we had to build it into one of our burrows and or something so that no one else is going to find it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just digging in mine. I'm just digging from mine. Like,
yeah, we had to like. You got to make a pit first to like where it'll fill up and not flood you.
Yeah, this is going to work great. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, this is the convenient thing about the fact that you've all got like a bunch of separate burrows instead of the interconnected thing, right?
Yeah.
That you can just kind of start digging in your burrow and nobody else is gonna notice. But so the underground part is easy enough to keep hidden, but Snowball being up there, thumping on the ground to help you keep track of your distance, a little more noticeable. And so as you're up there doing that, you catch out of the corner of your eye Chestnut kind of patrolling around, because it seemed to her that something was up over in this direction. She just had kind of a feeling something was going on. So she's kind of headed over, and she doesn't seem to have spotted you yet, but she's definitely, would be inclined to ask some questions if she saw another, a rabbit thumping on the ground and listening for thumps and so forth. So what are you going to do?
So I think maybe ahead of time we devised like a specific thump that meant like danger or something. So you might not hear from me for a little bit. So I think I give that thump, and then I think I try and just act my way out of this, like before when they were trying to send us all on the mission, on the scouting, my ears had drooped, and I think I just act like I'm just moping and staying away from everyone else.
Okay, so you're not going to try to hide, but you're just going to try to pretend play innocent.
Like I always, I'm a loner for the most part anyway. Don't have too many friends, so me moping and kind of staying away from everyone probably isn't that big of a shock.
Right. Okay, so we'll kind of fold this into a speak plainly, since you're interacting directly with her. So roll some dice and add your shrewd there.
Seriously?
What'd you get?
My dice just reversed. It's still a 5.
It's a 5. Okay.
It literally went from my left die being 2 and the right one being 1 to flipping that.
Okay, and then you even adding 2, you don't get it. Okay, so describe how you're trying to do this, and I will tell you where it all goes wrong.
I think I have an idea of how this all goes wrong.
Okay, go ahead and throw it out there.
I think that we were clever enough to devise a system where he could signal me whenever he was in danger, but we were not clever enough to realize that to call off the frightened moment or whatever. I'm the one who does that, and I just randomly do it at some point in this scene. Start thumping and it like any rabbit with ears could hear it. That was the fatal flaw in whatever is about to happen at whatever point you want it to happen.
Okay.
Nice.
I like that. Yeah. So, so you're trying to act like, oh, you're just out here moping about the Conclave's decision, and you're actually kind of getting through to Chestnut. Like Chestnut is buying this, and she kind of puts a paw on your shoulder, and it's like, it's gonna be all right, you know. It's sometimes the Conclave doesn't go your way. I get it, but you know, you need to cheer up, and then you hear thump, thump, thump. Yeah, exactly. Coming from underground, and she's like, "What is that?" She like kind of puts an ear to the ground and is like thumped up again. And she's like, you were helping dig that tunnel, weren't you?
Do I look like I'm covered in dirt?
Then who's thumping to you from underground?
That could be anyone that's down there. I mean, why? Are you sure there's even thumping? Maybe it's one of those human machines coming this way.
So
I got still. I'm
So
just
she-
trying to.
she
Now I'm
starts-
just trying to bull crap my way
Yeah.
out of this.
So she now starts to dig towards where the thumping is coming from. And as it happens, Digger underground, you can tell the way she's digging would basically cut you off from the Warren. So I'd like you to roll to resist panic, because you're facing possibly getting trapped underground by this.
Okay. Did we recover any from like the brief? Well, I guess we were there for like a night or something. Did we recover
But there's been so much going on that I don't think we got a good chance to reduce any panic.
Okay. 8.
An 8. Okay, so you take a panic, but you do manage to keep it together. So you haven't totally freaked out or lost it. So what are you going to do? You've realized that just drew a blank on the NPCA here. Chestnut. You realize that Chestnut is digging down, is going to potentially collapse the roof of your tunnel at a point between where you are and where the Warren is.
I think I've been in this kind of situation before. I dig a lot, and tunnels collapse.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten like good at just like, I know like if I can just breathe slow and breathe calm and dig around the obstruction, I can get back to where I was. And I have a surprisingly good sense of like where my own tunnels are underground that I've just dug, you know. Good orientation towards those. I don't have good above ground orientation as far as like where I'm going, but I know my subterranean happenings.
Okay, so you're going to try to dig around back to where the tunnel came from.
Yeah, if that's what I have to do, and just stay calm and
And I think to try and stop Chestnut from going any deeper, I'm going to start freaking out, yelling something about a hawk and bolt off towards the Warren.
Okay.
So hopefully get her to follow me.
Okay. So why don't you roll to bolt then?
Hey, there we go. That's an 11.
11. Okay. So yeah, so you take off back towards the warren. You're yelling that a hawk is approaching. And Chestnut pops up out of the hole that she was digging, and kind of looks around, and she doesn't see it, but she sees you going, and decides better safe than sorry. And that's kind of the rabbit way, and takes off after you back towards the warren.
Yeah, I think my plan at that point is, hit some of the tunnels and whatnot, and then double back, hoping to lose her. Mm-hmm. And hopefully she'll just stay there, assuming there was really a hawk.
Uh-huh. Okay. Cool. So I feel like we're getting close to a good spot to break for the night. Is there anything else that anyone would like to make sure it happens before we wrap tonight? Especially James, since you won't be able to join us for the other sessions. Is there anything else you would like?
How do you want to go out?
I want to spend the last time that I will be here trying to comfort and use my nurture to calm Blue down, because I noticed that she's still really, really shaky since we spent so much time together. So I want to spend my time trying to make her feel better. Okay.
Tell me how that works. What are you doing to calm her down?
So I think I'm gonna try to find a spot where we rest and we can sit down and we can groom each other.
Okay.
Kind of calm down and take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Probably under that scrub brush.
Yeah.
We're still outside.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So why don't you roll your help for that? And I think steady makes sense, since this is really focused on reducing Blue's panic.
And I got a 12 total.
All right, sounds good. All right, so this is very helpful. Works very well. So Blue, you can clear all your panic there.
And I think at the end of it, because it's like technically a -1, even though we're not doing that.
Yeah.
She's just kind of just flying, like how dogs sit sometimes with their legs in the back.
Uh-huh.
Like one of those.
Okay.
Right.
Excellent. All right. Was there anything else anyone wanted to make sure we got in? Okay, well, this has been an exciting game. I'm going to stop the broadcast, and then if everybody wants to stick around for just a little bit, we can wrap up our session here.